Barbie. Right, I'm recording, just so you know. So, this question. So I remember saying, and I've written it on the board, when you attempt this question, they want it in the form ax plus by plus c equals 0. But I said to you, first step is to do it in y equals mx plus c. That was the first step to do. Alright? Where m is the gradient. So some of you had a good attempt at trying to find the gradient, but you know, the problem that you've come across is trying to remember a formula. So the formula, if you want, for m, okay, is, well, it's rise over run, okay, and that we said was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the formula, all right? But in reality, what we want to know is how far do we go up or down compared to how far do we go across. That's what we want to do. So if I just try and remember a formula, mistakes get made. If I actually think what's happening, less mistakes get made. So I think all of you that made the mistake with the formula have realised that, well, the rise is going from the y coordinate, so we go from 11 to minus 5. And how do I get from 11 to minus 5? I have to actually subtract
6.
No. 16. Think of it as temperature. If I'm at 11 degrees and I drop to minus 5 degrees, that's not a drop of 6 degrees, because 6 degrees would take me to 5 and not minus 5.
Why did I know to?
Yeah, I don't know. But that's what a lot of people said, you know. So my rise is actually a drop of 16, so minus 16. Right. My run, okay, is from the x value to the other x value. And again, we start at 2 and we go to minus 6, which is a drop of 8. So we've got a run of minus 8. Okay. Now,
I did that, but I did x2 subtract x1.
okay, so if we were going to do y2 minus y1, we would then say, well, this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. So I could do it like this. It would be minus 6 minus 2, okay, over minus 5 minus 11. Right. If I were to go the other way and I swapped my x's and y's around, I would get the same answer if I did 2 minus, oh sorry, I'm doing that on the top. I would do, if I'd done that, I've done that the wrong way around there, haven't I? X's and y's. Why I write it out so I can check my working. So the run should have been minus 6 minus 2, and then it should be minus 5 minus 11, which gives me that. If I were to do it the other way round, I could have done 11 minus what? 11 minus minus 5, okay, over 2 minus minus 6, okay. Either way round, this would be 11 minus minus 5 is 16. 2 minus minus 6 is 8. 16 over 8, 2.
That's where I went wrong. I divided.
Minus 5 minus 11 is minus 16. Minus 6 minus 2 is minus 8, which is what I got there. Okay, so I always end up with the answer 2. So my gradient is 2.
I got 3, that's why.
You got 3. Well, of course, there's no legislating, is there, for instance, the one person that wrote everything correct but said 16 divided by 8 is 8. Yeah? So you can't legislate for doing that. Why would you write that? You know what the correct answer is. It's just that thought process, isn't it? Like you said, 16 divided by 8 being 3. Why are those numbers there? Well, because 8's go together with 16. 2 lots of 8 make 16, so you think 8 and 8 make 16. It's in the back of your mind somewhere. A lot of people think 3 times 8 is 16. That might be where your 3 is. You kind of just not concentrating. So you just need to make sure you concentrate, I guess. But these things happen, these mistakes happen. Okay, so now I've got my gradient. We've got y equals 2x plus c. And how do I find the plus c?
You substitute one of the coordinates from before into that.
Which coordinate would you like to use?
2 and 11.
2 and 11. Okay, so I'm going to use the fact that x is 2, therefore y will be 11, and I put that into my equation. So I'd say 11 has to be done by 2 times 2 plus something. Alright, so that's 11 is 4 plus
Wait, that's not
So
7.
do you just use one of the brackets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, what I should be able to do though is use both. So let me just show you. So if I've got y equals 2x plus c, what was the other bracket? X is,
minus 6,
and y is,
minus 5.
I should be able to use that as well. So minus 5 equals 2 times minus 6 plus c. Why it did that automatically? Right, so I've got minus 5 equals 2 times minus 6 is
Minus 12.
minus 12. What do I do to get from minus 12 up to minus 5? Add 7. So it should work with either coordinate. But either way, I've got my gradient and now my intercept. How do I get what?
C. Did you read it?
That was the 7. Well, I could rearrange. I could do 11 minus 4, but I'm just kind of using a bit of common sense now and say, I need 11, I'm only at 4, what do I need to add on?
Oh.
Yeah? No, it's fine. It's, you know, that's what I did here. Like minus 12, what do I need to do to minus 12 to get minus 5? Rather than do the rearranging thing. So my equation at the moment is y equals 2x plus 7. So that's in gradient and intercept form. Right? Gradient intercept form. Right? But they want it in general form. And general form is ax plus by, what did we say, plus c equals 0. So how do we get that then? We just rearrange. Now the easiest thing to do is to minus y from both sides. So I've got 0 equals 2x minus y plus 7. Done. It's a little bit more tricky if I've got fractions in there.
Where's the plus and the B?
So, what would a be?
2.
2. What would b be?
1.
Not 1, but
Negative.
negative 1. Yeah. And c would be 7. Alright. So if I were to ask you, write it in this form and then tell me what A, B and C are, that's what you would say. Okay, so A equals 2, B is negative 1 and C equals 7. So that's in that form. Like I said, we'll have a look at some others at one point and look at whether when we've got a fraction as a gradient, what do we do then? We have looked at it before. But
Wouldn't a be minus 1?
no, because A is the coefficient of x,
I read it.
and B is the coefficient of y, and C is the constant. You've got to check that that's the order they're in. Right. By the way, from this form, what's the gradient?
2.
2. But only because
That's next to the X.
we've got 1y and it's minus, so when we rearrange this, we get y equals 2x. So do you remember when it was more than 1y? What the number in front of the x was not necessarily the gradient. Remember talking about that? We talked about it a lot. Okay, how'd you feel about that? Those of you that did the homework, hopefully that just adds on to what you already tried to do. Those of you that didn't do it, this is the first time. Okay, any questions now? No more?